While some lies take time to be disbelieved, some truths take time to be confirmed. Welcome to another episode, and it will do us some good to repeat the last sign in the last episode. And this is sign 74. We repeat the whole thing because we couldn't finish it. Namshi. Uh, فأتل ف فأنطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما فقتله. Then they proceeded until when they met a young boy, he slew him. Who slew him? Hidru slew the young boy. فقتله. Kala. أقتلت نفسا زكية بغير نفس. Moses asked, hast thou slain an innocent person who had slain none? بغير نفس, who has slain none? لقد جئت شيئا نكرا. That's Moses still speaking. Truly a foul and head thing thou hast done. He's now telling Hidru that he has done a very foul thing. The unheard of is in brackets here. Truly a foul thing hast thou done. So Moses is now admonishing Hidru, whom he has gone to learn from, who had warned him in advance to keep quiet. Kala, lam, kala, lam akul laka, kala lam akul laka, innaka lan tastati'u ma'i sabran. Now Hidru is replying Moses. Hidru answered, did I not tell thee that thou canst have no patience with me? He's reminding him, I told you before, you can't have patience with me. Of course, who can? After seeing you slaying a small innocent boy. Okay. Then, that's 76. Moses said, apparently there is no commentary to it. 76. Moses said, Kala, in sa'alta an shay'an bagda, in sa'alta an shay'in bagdaha, fala tusahibni. Fala tusahibna hibni. Moses is in brackets, Moses said, if ever I ask thee about anything after this, keep me not in thy company. So Moses has given up. He has he has disobeyed Hidru twice. And he's now telling Hidru, if I disobey a third time, please separate me from your company. In other words, drive me away. In other words, drive me away. Fala tusahibni. Kat balakta min ladunni uzran. Drive me from your company. Then would thou have received full excuse from my side. From my side. Min ladunni uzran. Excuse from my side. Still no commentary there. That's sign 76. We go to sign 77. فإن تلك حتى إذا أتايا أهل القرية استطعما أهلها Then they proceeded until when they came to the inhabitants of a town, Kuriatin, استطعما أهلها. They asked them for food. They asked the people for food, the inhabitants for food. فأبوا أن يضعفوهما. They asked the inhabitants for food, but they refused. Abu but they refused them. Hospital, hospital for and Abu and Yuda ifuhuma فوجد فيها جدا فوجد فيها جدارا. They found there a wall on the point of falling down. جدارا يريد أن ينكد يريد أن ينكد فأقامه يريد أن ينكد فأقاموا. They made it straight. Akamu. They asked them for food, but they refused them hospitality. They refused them hospitality. They found there a wall on the point of falling down. On the point of falling down. فوجد فيها جدارا, a wall, yuridu, and Yankuda, at the point of the wall, at the point of falling down or wanted to fall down. فأكامه. But he set it straight. Hidri set it straight. Remember, these people refused them food, even ordinary food to eat, they refused them. But when Hidri saw a wall at the point of collapsing, Hidri simply put that and straightened it. Moses protested a third time. Okay, let's see. Let's go. They found a wall on the point of collapse, but he set it straight. For Akamahu Kala Lo Shita Lata Hasta Lo Shita Lo Shita Lata Hasta Alimi Ajran. Lata Hasta Alimi Ajran. Moses is now saying, Moses said, if thou hadst wished, surely thou could have exacted some recompense for it. That's for straightening the wall. Which one concern you? Musa, which one concern you? You should have, he said, keep mum. Keep mum. He refused you food. He knew it very well that they refused the two of you food. But when he saw the wall collapsing, he straightened it in a magical manner. You are now telling Hidri, for straightening it, he should have charged them for something. So you can see why Hidri said Moses cannot follow him. Okay, let's go to commentary 24, 19, and 20. That's to sign 77, 19, and 20. Let's see if we read 18 at all. Yes, we did read 18. Commentary 19 and 20. 19. 19 is against refusing them food. Refusing Moses and Hidri food. The inhabitants were churlish. The inhabitants were churlish. Churlish. In case I don't pronounce it well. They broke the universal Eastern rule of hospitality to strangers, and thus showed themselves beyond the pale of ordinary human courtesies. Full stop. Note that they would have been expected to offer hospitality of themselves and us. They themselves should have given Moses and Hidri hospitality, even without being asked. They didn't. And even when the two asked them, the inhabitants for, they still didn't. Can you imagine what sort of people? And asked. Full stop. Here, Moses and his companion actually had to ask for hospitality and were refused point blank. We won't give you. Like some people told me in West Hustle in the Tamale, Ghana, when I asked for my bicycle allowance, people who consider themselves to be very learned, we won't pay. We won't pay. So that's it here. They refuse point blank. Now we go to 24:20, and 24:20 is against what? Uh, Recompense. Moses asking Hebrew to ask for recompense. 24:20. As they were refused hospitality, they should, as self-respecting men, have shaken the dust of the town off their feet or shown their indignation in some way. Full stop. Instead of that, Hebrew actually goes and does a benevolent act. Full stop. He rebuilds for them a fallen wall and never asks for any compensation for it. That's a hungry man doing that. A hungry man who was refused food. That's good. This is a lesson for all of us. When they say sobre, patience, endurance, perseverance. Mm. Never ask for any compensation for it. Full stop. Perhaps he employed local workers for it and paid them wages, thus actually benefiting a town which had treated him and his companion so shabbily, SHABBY, so shabbily, exclamation mark. Moses is actually surprised and asks, could you not at least have asked for the cost of repairing it? You didn't prepare it. It was he who repaired it. Why are you not telling him to charge them? Musa or Moses? Okay, that's commentary 24:20 to sign 70 to sign 78. To sign 78. We now go to sign no to sign 77 rather. I'm sorry. That's to 24:20 to sign 77. We now go to sign 78. He answered, Kala. Hidri answered, Kala, Haza Firaku Bini Wabinika. Haza Firaku Bini Wabinika. Now Hidri is annoyed with Moses, apparently. He answered, this is the pattern between me and thee. Point blank. Also, 3 times. You yourself promised that he should go apart if you ask a third question. And so he also tells you, he answered, this is the pattern between me and thee. Haza firakun beini wa bainaka. Sa una biuka fasa una bika bitawilihi sa una biuka bitawilihi. Now I will tell thee the interpretation of these things over which thou over these things over which thou was unable to hold patience. These things is in brackets. Let's go back to the Arabic side of it. سأنبئك بتهويل ما لم تستطيع علي ما لا تستطيع عليمه صبرا ما لا تستطيع عليمه صبرا over which thou was unable to hold patience. Let's see the tahwil, the interpretation. Let's see the tahwil. Let's go to the commentary first. Commentary 2421. Commentary 2421. Mm. The story and the interpretation are given with the greatest economy of words. It will repay us to search for the meaning in terms of our own inner and outer experience. That's the book of wisdom. God is telling us a lot of things by this story. Mm? Even when you are angry and somebody doesn't give you food, be patient with him or be patient with them. Mm? Help them if you can. Upon all that, help them if you can. This is the noble Quran. Can't be found anywhere. Mm? Okay. Let me take it again. The story and the interpretation are given with the greatest economy of words. It will repay us to search for the meanings in terms of our own inner and outer feeling. Now we go to the next sign, which is sign 79. Mm. He's now explaining it. Uh, فأما فأما سفينة فأما سفينة فكانت لمساكين فكانت لمساكين. He's giving now the scuttling of the ship. Scuttling spell, I forgot to spell it for those who may not know. The scuttling is spelled Scuttling. Scuttling. Mm. Is it double T or one T? I can't remember. Okay, anyway, it's SCUT. I think LING. I think one T. Pardon me if it's not. For أما سفينتي فكانت لمساكين يعملون في البحر يعملون في بحر فأردت أن أهي فأردت أن أهيبها. As for the boat, it belonged to certain men in dire want. It belonged to certain men in dire want, Masakina, in dire want, Masakinatan. Yamaluna fil bahari. They plied on the water. They plied on the water. For Aradat and Ayi Baha, they plied on the water. I but wished to render it unserviceable. I wished to render it unserviceable. فأردت أن أئيبها وكان وكان وراءهم ملك يأخذ كل سفينة غصبا. I but wished to render it unserviceable, for there was after them a certain king who seized on every boat by force. So Hitler is now explaining to Moses that there was a king there who would seize the boat if he saw it in a very nice state. Moses didn't know. And he was going to rather save them, give them something for giving Moses and Hitler a free ride. Okay, let's go. كل سفينة غصبا, who seized on every boat by force. No commentary to it. I can't see any. Is there any? Oh, there is 2422. 2422, comment to 2422 to sign 79. They went on the boat, which was plying for hire. They went on the boat, which was plying for hire. Eh? Its owners were not even ordinary men who plied for trade. They had been reduced to they had been reduced to great poverty, perhaps from affluent circumstances, and deserved great commiseration, comma, the more so as they preferred an honest calling to begging for charity. So Hebrew knew these people were in dire poverty. They were very needy people. Moses didn't know. Mm. They did not know, but Hebrew did. They did not know, but Hidri did. They, the inhabitants of the boat, did not know, but Hidri did. I say Hebrew, but Hidri did. That they did not know that, but Hidri did know that boat, perhaps a new one, had been marked down to be commandeered by an unjust king who seized on every boat he could get. Mm. It may have been for warlike purposes. It might be for warlike purposes. Full stop. If this boat had been taken away from these self-respecting men, they would have been reduced to beggary. They would have nothing else to do. They have nothing. They have to go and beg to make a living. Mm. Okay, they have been reduced to beggary with no resources left them. Full stop. By a simple act of making it unseaworthy, by the simple act of making it unseaworthy, the boat was saved from seizure. Full stop. The owners could repair it as soon as the danger was past. Full stop. Henry probably paid literally in fares. Henry probably, where is it? By simply making it unseaworthy, the boat was saved from seizure. Okay, fine. The owners could repair it as soon as the danger was past. Henry probably paid literally in fares, and an what seemed an unaccountably cruel act was the greatest act of kindness he could do in the circumstance. So while Moses saw Hebrew as being ungrateful, Hebrew was rather being very, 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 very kind to the owners of the boat, by making it unseaworthy so that the king would not seize it. In other words, he had given them a boat, rather, and he really knew that when they get ashore, they will repay it. That's after inspection by the king and his people. Okay, and that's going to 2422 to sign 79. We now go to sign 80. We now go to sign 80. Or maybe we should stop here. Let's see. Okay, let's go to sign 80 first. وأما الغلام فكان أبوه مؤمنا فأما الغلام فكان أبوه مؤمنين فكان أبوه مؤمنين فكان أبوه مؤمنين فخشينا أن يرهقهما طغيانا وكفرا فخشينا أن kahuma tughyanan wa kufran. As for the youth, his parents were people of faith. Abu Huma, Abuahu, Abba, parents, Momin, were people of faith. Fahashia and we feared that he would grieve them by obstinate rebellion. Fahashia na anyur kahuma tagyanan wa kufran. Obstinate rebellion and ingratitude to God, which Moses didn't know. Commentary 24:23. 24:23. This seemed at first sight even a more cruel act than scattering the boat. But the danger was also greater. Full stop. Henry knew that the youth was a potential parasite. Sorry, not parasite. Was a potential parasite. Parasite is Parricida. So Hebrew knew that the boy was a potential parasite. His parents were worthy, pious people, pious people who had brought him up with love. He had apparently gone wrong. Full stop. Perhaps he had already been guilty of murders and robberies and had escaped the law by subtleness and fraud. See next note. So we go to the next sign in order to see the next note, and that will be sign 81. Sign 81. فأردنا أن يبدلهما ربهما أن يريد لهما ربهما خيرا منه zakawata. So we decide that their Lord would give them in exchange yubdilahuma in exchange a son is in brackets, a son in brackets, better in purity of conduct and closer in affection. An yubdilahuma rabahuma their Lord hera minhu zakawatan wa akraba rahman wa akraba ruhman akraba ruhman, better in purity of conduct and closer in affection. Akraba ruhman, closer in affection. We go to the commentary to read, which is 24. Yeah, 24. The son was practically an outlaw. That's the one Idris Slade was practically an outlaw, a danger, a danger, and a particular source of grief to his righteous parents. I don't know whether they were dead or alive. His righteous parents. Mm? Okay, full stop. Even so, his summary capital, his summary capital punishment would have been unjustified if Hidri had been acting on his own. Full stop. But Hidri was not acting on his own. Colon. See the later part of the next verse. Full stop. The plural we, now the plural we also implies that he was not acting on his own. Hidri was not acting on his own, but by the command of God. Full stop. He was acting on higher authority and removing a public scourge, comma, who was also a source of extreme sorrow and humiliation to his parents. His parents are promised a better behaved son who would love them and be a credit to them. So he will slew him so that his parents would have a better son. Moses didn't know of all these things. And that was coming to 24 to sign 81. We now go to sign 82, the last sign of section 10. Then we are now going to the explanation of the rebuilding of the wall for the greedy and grateful people. For the greedy people who threw away all courtesy by refusing Moses and Hidri food. وأما الجدار وأما الإجارة فكان لغلامين يتيمين في المدينة. As for the wall, it belonged to two youths, orphans, غلامين يتيمين, belonged to two youths, orphans in the town, في مدينة. وكان تحته كنز لهما وكان أبوهما صالحا. It belonged to two youths, orphans in the town. There was beneath it a buried treasure, kunzun, a buried treasure to which they were entitled. Lahuma wakana abuhuma salihan, to which they were entitled. Their father had been a righteous man. I think he had died. He had put treasure underneath the building, and there were two of them. And Hidri wanted to save this treasure for them. They had nothing to do with the people of the town. This is knowledge that God gave Hidri. Wakana abuhuma salihan, they were righteous. فأراد ربك أن يبلغ فكان ربك أن يبلغ أشدهما, to which they were entitled. Their father had been righteous. Yeah, we've done that. So thy Lord desired that they should attain their age. فأراد ربك أن يبلغ أشدهما, to attain their age. ويسترجع كنزهما رحمة. As righteous man, so they would the Lord desired that they should attain their age of full strength and get out their treasure. And get out the treasure. Uh, fa, ah, Fasata rija wa yaso. Sorry, wa yas ta rija kazaba huma. Fayata rija kan zahuma. To get out their treasures. Mm. Rahmatan mean Rebecca. Rahmatan mean Rebecca. A mercy from thy Lord, or a mercy and favor, in brackets, a mercy and favor from thy Lord. Rahmatan mean Rebecca. وما فعلته an amri from thy Lord. I did it not by my own accord. This is the explanation Hedri was give to Moses before their parting. Wama fa'altuhu an amri. I did not do it from my. I did not do it. I did not of my own accord. I did it not of my own accord. Pardon me, viewers. I did it not on my own accord. Wama fa'altuhu an amri. ذلك تهويل ما لم ذلك تهويل ما لم تستطيع عليه ذلك تهويل ما لم تستطيع عليه صبرا. Such is the interpretation, tawil, such is the interpretation of those things is in bracket, without a bracket is three. Such is the interpretation of over no, it doesn't work well. Let's add the brackets. Such is the interpretation of those things over which thou was unable to hold patience. So, after giving this explanation, Moses and Hedri parted ways. So, Hedri told Moses, "You don't have knowledge of everything in the world. The knowledge that God has given you is far less than you should have. He has given me more knowledge than you." Okay, let's go to commentaries for that. 2425, 2426, 2427, and then we would have finished this section. 2425. The wall was in ruinous state. If it had fallen, the treasure buried beneath it would have been exposed and would certainly have been looted, among so churlish and selfish a people. See note 2419. We've done that above. Full stop. The treasure had been collected and buried by a righteous man. Full stop. It was not in any case of the word. It was not in any case. It was not in any sense of the word. Ill-gotten gains of the word. Ill-gotten gains of the word. Ill-gotten gains. It was buried expressly. It was buried expressly in the interest of the orphans by their father before his death. It was intended that the orphans should grow up and safely take possession of their heritage. It was also expected that they would be righteous men like their father, and use the treasure in good works and in advancing righteousness among an otherwise wicked community. That's the community that they are staying in. So they were apart from the people. They were righteous. They were meant to grow up to be righteous, to use the gold to be righteous, and to use the treasure to be righteous, and to use the treasure to correct their people, mm, their wicked people. Mm. Possession, use the treasure in good works, in advancing righteousness among an otherwise wicked community. Full stop. There was thus both public and private interests involved in all the three incidents. Did I repeat it? There was thus both public and private interests, plural, finishing S, involved in all three incidents. Mm. In the second incident, Hidri used the word we, showing that he was associated, showing that he was associating in his act the public authorities of the place who had been eluded by the outlaw. A wonderful story, isn't it? Scattering of the teeth of the sheep, cutting of the boy's head, and then repairing of the wall. They were of interest publicly and otherwise, which Moses did not know. Mm. And that is the end of section 10. Next time we come back, we'll go to section 11, which starts with sign 83. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Au revoir. May God be with you all.